Welcome to another episode of Modern Black Man Podcast. I'm joined with co-host with Muzzo, that boy, Doug. What up?
Yo, what's going on, man?
I don't know, man. My bad. I think we were talking about ways to get rich. We were talking about how people become millionaires. I think that's the perfect segue into today's topic. We're going to talk Exes. We're going to talk about that. Hey, uh,
There you go. You just waiting on them to show up? Yeah.
Doug's a boss. He's a mover. He's a shaker. He's a leader of men. What he does, he provides experts, situation, allowing that his working. Brother, I appreciate
You breaking up a lot, though, bro. I can't understand nothing you're saying.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I do.
But I was just kind of leading you in there and introducing the topic today. We're going to talk about X.
Okay.
There's a lot of wisdom that I've learned from bad relations that I applied to relationships I felt are successful and I to succeed. I think I've learned tact to survive, to provide, to exceed expectations. 1,000.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be honest. I haven't had a huge number of exes in my life. um, probably none worth talking about. I think
I
that
mean,
the
I don't want to talk about anybody at all, really. I want to talk about the wisdom and the knowledge because these are certainly nameless, um, sometimes experiences. I want to
Mhm.
talk about how men we live our lives and we have our experiences, and sometimes we're more or better informed by them than others. Sometimes I have an experience and it will transform the entirety of my life. It will transform the season that I'm in, and I think it allows for me to experience life differently and learn myself differently. I think you're still on mute.
Can you hear me now? My bad. What I was saying was I think that's fair. It's a fair assessment. I do think that when a person goes from one relationship to the next, they should be willing to take what they've learned and the better parts of themselves rather than trying to find somebody that's going to accept them for who they are. I think the common misconception of today's youth is you need to accept me for me. Like, nah, little nigga, I don't. Like there's too much about you that needs to change, right? Um, I find it comical when a person goes outside and they have a problem with the weather, right?
Hmm.
As if that's something that they can change just based on how they feel about the situation. Like I hate the rain, so I stay inside, right? Um, but when it's the sun's outside, now I can come outside. Well, I mean, you can kind of use the same kind of thinking when you go into every individual relationship. Like you shouldn't be going into a relationship with people that rain, right? If they rain, you probably don't want to just be creating relationship with these people because they got nice bodies or pretty hair or money in their pocket for you individuals out there that just think that you need a man that got money or need a woman that can take care of herself.
But brother,
Um,
talking about it, that's exactly why we're talking about it because that is the expectation of people. That's the expectation of exchange. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I'm just saying that, you know, and I don't even know if it's an expectation. People just really think that everybody else owes them something. So
Uh,
maybe if it is an expectation, it's extremely false one. It's extremely, misguided thought process when it comes to meeting new people, because nobody woke up today expecting to meet you, right? So like, if for whatever reason you run into somebody that, for lack of a better term, looks better than your ex, or has a better mouthpiece than your ex, whatever the case may be.
mhm.
The last thing you should be doing is comparing that person to who you had last. Rather, you should be comparing yourself to who you were in that last relationship versus who you're trying to be for the next one.
Let's talk about that. I think that there's a lot of truth in that, or maybe the interpretation of that can be seen in making yourself better to get what you want, um,
Mm-hmm.
letting it be undeniably yours. Um, yes, I don't feel anyone owes me anything, but conducive relationships make it so much easier. They make you so much happier, and they make the relationship more productive. That's what I'm here for.
Right. I mean, but you got to be willing to look in the mirror for these sort of things. Like, I think the reason why there's so many failed relationships, excuse me, failed marriages outside of the one or two of them not being saved, is the main reason is because the lack of communication prior to.
Hmm.
Um, but it's real easy for me to tell, my significant other, hey, look, when I come in at night, what I'm saying, I normally, I'm a late, sleeper. I sleep late, so I might be up all night when you ready to go to bed. That's fine. You go right to bed. But understand, and in most cases, because I go to sleep so late, I don't prioritize where stuff go off when I take it off. I don't put this in a hamper and hang this back up and put these shoes on. Everything comes off and sits right where I take it off at, and you're going to see that in the morning.
You're a rapture
Understand? Yeah.
thing.
You said what?
You're a rapture sleeper.
I'm not talking about me. I'm just giving an example. I'm just saying, because
Ah,
I hear a lot about, like, say marriages have really, or not even just marriages, like, just people that are living together. Let's just say that, let's call them code dwellers. And with,
so a
with
habit.
the, yeah, habitual sleepers.
Right.
But so, I mean, what they'll do is they'll have an issue with, what they see out that other person, right? And rather than tackling that prior to moving in together by just saying, these are some things that I witnessed, um in my past relationship, that I don't necessarily tolerate, right?
You
But also be willing to say, what, there's also a lot of things about me that I learned from my last relationship, and I need to know if there are things that you're willing to tolerate, because nothing about you is perfect. Like, anything about you can be changed for better. Anything, everything about you is flawed. Everything. Understand that about yourself.
all of us, and we go into these relationships with the, I call it expectation of purpose from the other person. A chick will drop you so quick when you ain't got no purpose for her, because it's not purpose for life or purpose for Christ. It's purpose for her getting to the club, getting her drink, getting her what she need, making her feel good, holding her self-esteem, filling her belly up, and putting dollars in her pocketbook. I definitely think relationships can be selfish if you allow them.
Well, I mean, I would hope that every woman out there isn't as shallow and single self-minded as you described. But for those that may not be, those that are actually looking for a legitimate relationship that will grow not just her bank account or just her esteem for herself, but will grow the relationship in general. The best tool that you can have is humility. You know,
Mm,
the best tool you can have in your bag is um a mirror, so to speak, right? Like just to look at yourself and say, you know what, it's not, this ain't about you, right? You're involved, but this ain't about you. The relationship ain't about you.
again, I think expressed perfectly, but maybe I present it differently. Taking her along for Christ's magic ride is what I see relationship as. When she's attached to you, I look at bros like Devin Franklin. I look at men who I feel possibly have been taken down by their temptation, and I use that as motivation to find that ultimate partner and to create that perfect union.
Who's David Franklin?
Devin Franklin, boy, Megan Good's stop playing.
Who that?
Good's ex-husband. You know who
Who?
Good is, fool. Tell
Everybody know who Megan Good is. I mean, but who's Devin Franklin?
yeah, tell them you feel what I'm saying though. I ain't gonna
Not if you don't tell me who Devin Franklin is.
the pastor.
I need the context.
Yeah, he's a pastor. And before they got married, his whole congregation more or less said, "Don't get with her. She's an HO." And they were very disrespectful during their marriage. This is an undercurrent that people don't talk about unless they're coming to Megan Good's defense. Luckily, I'm not one of those people. He is a pastor who had good convictions. And when he first got with her, he knew that there was a temptation of the flesh, and he declared that he was going to have pure intentions with her. I think he was simping with Russell Westbrook back then. It was probably 2010, and they got these off the street, and Megan Good proved herself to be what I long story. I say if you feel like I need to be fact checked or anything or other conversation, I'd love to have it. But it's tragic and it affected me. I saw this man who wanted to present the right face, and a woman betrayed him. So that's a good example of an ex taking you down, being temptation. Because I think as men, those are some of the funnest situations. Temptation's good sometimes. I'm not saying temptation's good like Eddie Murphy and Vampire in Brooklyn. I'm saying sometimes temptation is a bright line. Sometimes temptation can help us understand where that fire is and where to stay away from. Because if we want to be in the bright land, we have to stay in the bright lane.
Well, I mean, I think, if we use temptation in the context of the actual word, I mean, I don't know how it can ever necessarily be a good thing, because the idea of being tempted means
Yeah.
that you're essentially looking away from what's good to whatever it is that you're looking towards. Um,
Yes, I meant that like Vampire Brooklyn.
oh
Very
no, no, I know what you mean. Uh, my it's not a rebuttal, but it's more along the lines of just following in with the conversation. I believe that all women possess the ability to tempt men,
Ooh.
right? I believe that all men possess the ability to tempt women. Now, you may not be able to tempt the woman you looking for. You know what I'm saying? You
But you will
you
be able
you
to.
wait, wait, you may not, look as good as you think you look. So you're not tempting the class of male or woman that you're looking for,
You
but
saying
you
Holly Berry?
definitely.
What reason why? I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, what?
I said Holly Berry don't like me. What reason? But please continue.
But I'm just saying. I mean,
Mm,
fact of the matter is it would be extremely interesting to me to meet a woman that was trying to lure me in with, let's say, uh, her ability to humble herself. Would that attract me? I don't know, but I definitely would be interested in seeing how far it would go, right?
I'm just undefied and I'm blown away. You're saying you fantasize about a woman that can humble herself. They
not
don't
me.
see.
What I'm simply my wife does humble herself. So what I'm simply saying is, and I don't think that every woman can be like my wife. So don't go out there trying to aspire to do something you probably weren't built to do. However, even me as a Bible believer, I do believe that some people should be single and some people are to be married, right? For those of you that are looking for long-lasting, fulfillable relationships, what you should hear is exactly what husbands find in their wives, not what type of wife we're looking for, but what we find from our wives, right? So first you have to find one that doesn't have a problem telling you the good in his wife because has he has a positive outlook on his relationship. So I think that's absolutely necessary. You need to find somebody that has a positive outlook on their relationship. Then you need to find out whether or not how he talks about his wife. Like when I talk about my wife, I don't talk about my wife in the sense that, like, I have a friend that talks about his wife as if she's royalty, and I was like, you kind of put your wife on this pedestal that she can never amount to, right? And that's kind of it's kind of like idolizing your wife at that in this instance. However, when I talk about my wife, I talk about her in the sense of from start to finish of 16 years. If we were to finish today, all that I've observed of my wife is, her ability to humble herself in conversation, whether with me or whether in mixed conversation, her ability to find the good in every person, the ability to rationalize all situations to find whether or not there is a pro and con to these situations before she allows her family to involve themselves in it. Things like that. She's a very protective woman, so to speak, right? In reference to all the things I just named, she's a very protective woman. So
Mm,
those are the attributes that I find in my wife, right? So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, after 16 years, for some odd reason we don't work out. Now, if I put myself to the side for a second, which I think most people should, they should put themselves to the side and start thinking about what it is that's important to them. What was most important to me at the relationship I just got out of was her ability to protect my kids and my well-being, right?
mm.
Um, not her ability to look good in jeans because she looked good in jeans. That's not her ability though. That's just something that I get with
The
that.
byproduct.
Yeah, it's a byproduct of who she was raised by and how they fed her and how she work out and so on and so forth. That has nothing to do with who she is, right? How good she is in bed, that has nothing to do with who she is. That's technically all a matter of how much she's interested in you, right? um
Men. And I don't think we talk about that enough in our culture and in society, because the path to fulfillment, like you're talking about, is that connection and that dedication. We don't have
yeah.
it in our culture.
Hmm. Yeah, and then then you have the other side, and when you're trying to think about me, myself, and I think it'd really be wise of a person to find the best possible mate for themselves by saying, what did she complain about all the time, right? What was he complaining about constantly? What was the arguments about from their standpoint? And if you can do all of that and you're willing to humble yourself to just the conversation in your own head and just say, you know what? I did have a problem with leaving my clothes anywhere. I did have a problem with spending money on absolutely nothing and going through my money too fast. I did have
Mhm.
a issue with talking out of turn. I did have an issue with being too loud. All of those things that you may say, that's just who I am, that was a problem in your last relationship. That was a problem, and
You
it was.
be Jose Canseco today, huh?
What you
Not
mean?
the park.
But this is, I mean, it's
It's
easy
so true.
for people to just be honest with themselves.
Well,
Like I have no reservations about saying exactly what is wrong with me, because if I'm willing enough, if I'm willing to say that, I imagine that there is a woman out there that is going to be receptive to me being honest, right? If only one, if it's only one of you out there that are looking for an honest man, That's the kind of honest man you should be looking for. A man that's honest with himself, not necessarily just honest with you. Because he may be honest with you in the sense that he tell you the answers to the questions framed how you framed them, right? So he don't necessarily have to tell you all the truth, right? He tell you
I,
the truth that you asked for.
he's going through it because I feel he might not have been honest with his partner. He wanted to present as if, and it's really hurting my friend. It's hurting me, and I see it. You know, I think we see a lot of this real easy through other guys.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's paramount for, like I said, it's paramount for the next relationship that everybody is willing to be honest with themselves, right? Hold on one second, yo. Go ahead.
Hold it down. What I was really thankful and grateful for is that there is so much wisdom to come from our exes, those that experienced us before we either became or are who we have become. And these connections never define us. But if they haven't been the points that create the vibration that refines us, they are the experiences, the happenings that dictate what we will and will never allow again. Um, my friend, what do you think is the greatest lesson that you've learned from the man you are today and the way that you move right now?
Well, I mean, I think the question you're looking for is in reference to who I am today. What did I learn about the man I was yesterday? Is that what you mean?
No, I didn't want to look back. I wanted to look forward. So, what is going to be your greatest achievement?
Oh, interesting. Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't believe that I can achieve a greater accomplishment than, you know, um, repentance.
Hey, man.
Um, and
Again,
I will be honest with you guys. I mean, like I can easily make any conversation Brian gives me a spiritual one, and I try not to, depending on the platform he is engaged on. But I will say this. I will say this. If we just look at the, like I said, just definitional word definitions of words. Repent just means to turn away, turn around, right? I think the best thing about me now that prepares me for tomorrow was my willingness to say no to those things that I saw got me into the most trouble.
mm,
Right? Those things that I saw as the most pleasurable looking fruit in the world. Those are the things that I am working my hardest in my life to deny and to subtract out of my life.
right.
Once you're able to do that, it's really hard for relationships to work. Excuse me. It's really hard to make relationships not work, because if you're getting the things out of your way that get in the way of other people, or get in the way of, in my preference, of getting in the way of God, or getting in the way of, my relationship with my wife. Once I got those things out of my life, everything started to take the shape that I thought it was supposed to be taken from in the first place. And
Say
you'll
that.
wonder, like, have you wasted? I mean, so to those people out there that feel like you've wasted these last several years, right? For whatever reason, how they were wasted, I don't want that necessarily doesn't matter whether it was your fault, somebody else's fault, so on and so forth. What I can promise you that is you are not blameless. You are not blameless. Okay. You had some stake in your own life situations. With
Uh,
that
oh my.
with that being said,
Temanite,
huh?
Eliphaz, Temanite. You
I
said
don't.
blameless. Job was blameless.
What is your point?
I think that the what I learned from that parable was not to
No, no,
feel.
no, 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 no. No, I didn't ask you what you learned from that parable. I said, what was your point?
My point was we can't always assume people make mistakes and are being punished for things like
Are
Job.
you are you sure? Are you sure that because of Job's story, there are plenty of people out there that are experiencing what Job experienced?
Mm, I don't know that. That was
Let me ask you a better question. Let me ask you a better question. You ever been to Walmart?
yes.
Is it you going to Walmart? Does it have anything to do with anybody else shopping there?
Okay.
Okay, that's all I'm simply saying. Um,
But
and I mean,
point
in reference to
with
Job,
that.
if we're gonna utilize the word Job, you have to understand that there was a conversation that happened prior to Job's situation, and it had nothing to do with what
Yeah.
he was doing as a person. It was the whole purpose of that was to show Satan that I still reign over his life, no matter what you do or say. I'll
Hmm.
still reign over his life.
Hmm.
Okay. And Job did end up showing that towards the end of that story was that he, regardless of all the things that happened to him, he still gave God the glory.
Yes.
Now, I know that may be hard for a lot of people to understand in today's day because even the Bible says that there will be a great falling away in our time. So I'm pretty sure there are plenty of people out there that have said that, you know what, I tried the Christian thing, it didn't work, so on and so forth. If that's you, I'm praying for you. But bottom line is what I'm simply saying is in reference to bettering the relationships around you. If you start with you, there's no possible way that you won't find a better relationship later on in life because you're trying to better yourself for the next relationship and not trying to find somebody to fit the mold that you think exists in someone else, is what I'm saying.
Hmm. I was giving you an assist because it's a different lens, but I think your point remains very profound.
You tried it. he wasn't trying to give me no assist. I don't believe that. he was
It
what he
was
was
somewhat
trying to do was trying to catch me slipping, thinking that
it was
I wouldn't know what to say.
somewhat friendly, because it really was. It was somewhat friendly, but we need to look at our past, and I guess again, Joe, it's not about blaming yourself in the today. It's really about looking at yourself humbly, and keeping it to yourself and making it a one person game. I really wanted that to come through, and I think you made a lot of points that pointed the compass true.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because essentially, Job, all of Job's friends attempted to try to explain why all these things were happening to him, and everything they said was, essentially maybe a little bit right or a little bit wrong, but it had nothing to do with the why this was going on. Right? It had everything to do with what was going on in his life and those things that they observed. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with those things that they observed being right or wrong. What I'm saying is, if you just listen to what they were saying things that humans actually experience, right? Which is okay. What I'm saying is, you take those actual human experiences and you say, which of these were actually because of something that I won't let go, or something that I feel is right, whatever the case may be. It takes putting down the self-righteousness in a person to find out what's really wrong with them, I think. Right? I mean, and I think your exes have a really good idea of what's wrong with you. They have a really good idea of that.
I think there's a lot of truth in that. And I mean, it's about the truth in yourself as well. You know the reason why you don't want Keisha, Teresa, uh, Mary, Bucktooth ass Kim. Like, you know why they shouldn't come back. So, exes are a good mirror for us, as well as,
Or
like,
why you never deserved them in the first place.
yes, on why, what? Amanda, on why she just was the prettiest thing you could never have, right? I get it. I get it. Why Lisa was the one that had the money and the job, and Brittany was the one that got you. You know what I mean? Like, no, I know.
If you ask every man about let's just talk about his exes, right? We're not going to talk about the girl he's with now because he's probably not going to always tell the truth. Okay, but we'll talk about the ones that he was with. If you let him explain why he got with her, more 9 times out of 10 it would be something physical. What she said, how she looked, what she did in bed. And you can even add the fact that or the fact that she had money and you was trying to get a piece of that. But you'll never find a man explaining what it was about his exes that that attracted him, and it had nothing to do with something that did he couldn't get out the deal, right? Like what was it about her that attracted you that you didn't get from her, right? That's just a product of your relationship because she's with you. He's not going to know the answer to that question. Why? Because the reason why they didn't work out is because that situation, that reason right there that we're talking about, that's unnamed, wasn't named when he started. It wasn't framed while he was with her, and it wasn't something that was he used that he was willing to keep her, right? So, for example, I didn't get with my wife because she was humble, right? That's not why I got with her. I got with her because she was sexy, right? I got with her because how she looked in jeans. I got with her because she had good hair, right? Now, 16 years has passed. Do those things all stay the same? I would say most of the time they don't necessarily stay the same, right? They may change, they
You
may
gonna
alter, right?
compliment me?
Yes. So if you're going to be if you're willing to stay with this person, you're going to have to find something that cannot change or something that has gotten so good you don't want to let it go.
Amen.
And for me, it was my wife's willingness to be a student, right? She's a very good student of her husband, right? She's a
Wow.
very good student of life. She's a
Mm.
very good student of elders. She pays a good amount of attention to what people are saying and doing, and like I said, she doesn't allow us to fall by the wayside as a family because of the attention she pays to other people. I didn't find that out when I met her. I find that out, and that was something I'm not trying to let go. You know what I'm saying? So since I'm not trying to let that go, it doesn't matter how big her booty is or how big her breasts are or how much money she got in the bank. You know what I'm saying? I may lie to her and say, oh, because she got this much money in the bank, let me say something to her to get her to spend some money on me. But the last thing I'm going to do is give her my heart. You
Right,
see
right.
what I'm saying? I mean, I mean,
But
to each his own. I'm just saying.
reasons that wine is so so sweet, and I think that's such a blessing. That's such a goal of mine. I gotta get the commitment going to get there.
Fair. I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, man. But not every woman is built like that. That's what we're having this whole episode about. It's truly a goal and a transformative goal, and I think that's what's lost in this generation because no one wants to become. People feel they are, and that's
Exactly.
true to me. We got
Exactly.
man. We got to do this on the next one. You
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. I'm with it.
Before we break, like any stuff you want to share?
Um, no, not necessarily. I just like I said, I don't want I really want people to just kind of understand my heart on this situation so that they don't try to find uh, a disagreement
Hmm.
because that's not the goal. I don't I would hope that that's not what your goal was this entire time you were listening to us talk. My heart on the situation is that if you have exes, whether they live in Texas or not, they have a clear understanding of why it is either a good thing they aren't with you now or why they miss you right now. Now, if they miss you or they knew it was this reason wasn't a reason to keep you, I imagine those are reasons that you're not even concerning yourself with when you're looking for the next person. So
Right.
I implore you to not necessarily call your ex and say, "Hey, why'd you get rid of me?" or why are you fighting to get me back? Those aren't what you should be working on. What you should be working on is just remembering the arguments, remembering the good times, and find out what part you took in those moments. And I think
Inform you.
that would inform. Yeah, that's a good word. That would inform you and prep you for the next relationship. Because, like I said, everybody's not going to fit the mold that you have created in your head. I promise you, God don't make people the way you think they are made. They're just not. We're all flawed. We all make really stupid mistakes, and the goal is to find someone that is going to curtail those mistakes by telling you the truth.
So, so true. And I mean, seasons of life, realize that I'm learning the ultimate partner is going to be that person that can see you in all times and adjust, right? Because
Yeah,
we want what we want all the time. But the beauty of a woman is being able to really adjust, right? And make you comfortable while you transform whatever it is that you're doing. But while you're getting and while that time is lapsing, I want to find that strength in myself. But I certainly see that in our mutual conversation talking about good partners.
yeah.
I can't wait till the next one. This one's going on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Um, I think that you and I got to do a little bit more addressing of our international comrades in the UK, the Caribbean. I think we'll be doing that maybe a little bit more this fall and this winter, but I appreciate your time. Till the next one.
Go Cowboys.
Peace.